Okay, so people, thanks to the good folks at Signature, right? I checked out One True Loves. Now, I may not have watched this film, right? But I am basically, I'm basically a $10 hoe. You know what I mean? I don't know what that would be in UK currency. Let me say a 50p trick, right? Because I'm down to check out anything, right? Because you never know. You never know, right? There's definitely films which have surprised me. There's films that I was looking forward to, which I was disappointed in. So, you know what I mean? Why put yourself in a box, right? Always try and stay open. But there's definitely things that you have a feeling you may gravitate to more than others, right? So, One True Loves, you know, I had originally thought, did they make a spelling mistake? And then I watched the film and I realized why it's called One True Loves, right? Um, so this is directed by Andy Fickman, who surprised me with one of his previous films, right? Because he directed I think it's the game plan. I think it's the game plan, right? Which was The Rock, you know, football player, and he finds out he's got a daughter, which that's surprisingly really cute, really nice and touching. You know what I mean? So he directs, and it is written by Taylor Jenkins Reid and Alex J. Reid, right? Now, you might think, are they related? They are indeed. They're husband and wife. And also, Taylor Jenkins Reid wrote the book this is adapted from. You know, so the book came out in 2016, had the same name, and they came aboard to adapt that book, right? Which is interesting. Uh, the film is produced by Michael Jefferson, Andy Fickman, Sarah Finn, Arena Frazier, Adam Baisley, Peter Jackal. Okay, Peter was involved, and you might recognize the names. We spoke to Peter last year about his film Medieval, remember? Okay. Willie Cutner, Ryan Donald Smith, and Betty Sullinger. It is executive produced by Jean Zacharias, Stephen Yandich, Calvin Wu, Ryan and Henry Winterstern, Caleb Ward, Jordan Wagner, Chang Shong, Anthony Strandberry, Jonathan Snow, Daniel Snow, Mark Center, Michael Raban, Jeff Rice, Taylor Jenkins Reid, Richard Allen Reid, and Alex J. Reid, Delphine Perrier, Joe Mulhill, Nathan Morris, Kevin Miller, Jarrett Mahoney, Roy Scott McFarland, Dave Lugo, Nathan Klinger, Walter and Patrick Joston, Rock Jacobs, Wes and Diana Hull, Fang Fang Hu, Paul W. Hazen, Vanessa Yegu, Colt Corsi, Ford Corbett, JJ Caruth, Cindy Brew, Ryan Basford, Martin J. Barab, Harry Afaluoya, and it's co-executive produced by Marvin Cheng, Jin Ji Jia, Terry Jessup, Dan Cat, Samuel A. Levin, Sam Linder, Demeter D. Nikolov, Scott Powell, and line produced by John William Roberts. So Nathan Wang handled the music, Greg Gardner cinematography, Sarah Finn and Jason B. Stammy were on casting. Production design is Austin Gould. Set decoration was Rachel Wilkin. Elaine Montalove was on costume design. Hair and makeup, we have Angie Cooten, Jill Ostry, Elizabeth Pascal, and Tara Zelensky. Okie dokie. And people, our cast. Because you can't make a film without a cast. Well, Emma is played by Phillipa Soo. Her sister Marie is played by Michaela Conlin. You know what? I forget who her parents are. I think it's Anne, played by Lauren Tom. And I think it's Joe, played by Gary Hudson. We then have got Sam, her best friend, played by Simu Liu. Jesse, Luke Bracey. I think his parents are played by Beth Broderick, Francine, and then Joe, played by Gary Hudson. Now, a young Emma is played by Anya Yaff. A young Sam is Phineas Yoon, and a young Jesse is Cooper Van Gruttel. We have Colin, played by Michael O'Keefe. We have got who else do we have? I think, yeah, we've got the students, right, who play in the orchestra, who do figure in a lot of the film. So we're going to shout those out, right? We have Bass, played by Trenice Atkinson. Viola, played by Nia Barrow. I think that was bass, maybe. And I guess viola is the instrument. I think they're saying the instrument, right? The guitar player is played by Kinsey Boston. The cello player, Sophie Brititzer. The viola and violin is E.C. Cobb Curtis. Drums were Brendan Kofi. Another violinist is Colby Collins Peterson. Another drums is Catherine Crowley. Another bass player is Jeanne Dorvey. Another violinist is Isabel de Andrade. The flutist is Gwen Edwards. We have another cello. It's Carlisle Gates. Another violinist is Isabella Garcia. Another guitarist is Jack Fishback. We have Zoe, played by Gabrielle Garcia. We have Tom, played by Will Dowsner. There is Miss Phillips, played by Jacquint Blackenkenship. Miss Washington, played by Victoria Blade. Kelly Back, played by Christina Back. Yeah, that's probably it, right? Oh, Mr. Williams, played by J. Devon Johnson. Right, we're gonna go with that. Okay, so the gist of the film. Emma and Jesse are the perfect couple. High school sweethearts who fell in love, got married, and left their small town in Massachusetts away from their family expectations. Together, they live life to the fullest and seize every opportunity to travel the world until their marital bliss is ruthlessly cut short. On their first anniversary, when Jesse disappears in a helicopter crash over the Pacific Ocean, Emma is destroyed and moves back to Massachusetts in an effort to mend her life back together. 4 years later, Emma runs her family's bookshop and has grown to like her new life. She runs into her old best friend, Sam, who has always been secretly in love with her, and they become inseparable. Newly engaged, it feels like Emma's second chance at happiness is finally here until an unexpected phone call changes her world forever. Jessie is alive, completely torn. Emma must now choose between a husband and a fiance. She knows that she has to listen to her heart. She just not sure what it says. Right? So that's what I meant, right? That's why it's called One True Loves, right? Not just one true love. Now, that's pretty clear. So, yeah, that's the film, people. Now, there's a director's statement that got sent through. Says this: the minute I read Taylor Jenkins' Reid breathtaking novel, One True Loves, I knew I had to bring this rich story and memorable character to life on screen. Is there anything more universal in the world than dealing with love and loss? Our life, our film explores just how wounded our hearts can be at their lowest and how wonderfully full they can be at our highest. But what if you were dealing with it all at one time? Love and loss. What if you were forced to face the heart wrenching moment in which you had asked the very real question: is it possible to have more than one soulmate in your life? This hit me personally and profoundly. My mum's dad died when she was very young. My grandmother lived a very long life, well into her 90s, and yet she never went on a single date. She believed that husband, my grandfather, was her one true love. Growing up, that is what we assumed was the truth. You had one true love. No one in our immediate family had ever gotten a divorce when I was a kid, so I never saw a second love for anyone. When I was 16, my life was shattered to the core. My own father, Phil Fickman, suddenly died of a heart attack. I was the last person to speak to him before his death. My mum, Ruth, was devastated, and like my grandmother, she too chose not to date again. My father was her one true love, and it remained that way for the next 2 decades. My mother never went on a single date. Like her mother before her, that was simply how life would be. But then, when my mum turned 70, through mutual friends, she met a man a few years older than her named Richard, who had recently lost his wife. They played tennis together and found love on and off the court. My mum went from 0 to 100 in the dating game. And when Richard proposed marriage to my mum, I'm the youngest of four boys. Richard spoke to my oldest brother and asked for my mum's hand in marriage. But that wasn't all. Richard took my mum to my father's grave, and there he promised my father he would look after my mum and asked for his blessing. It was at that very moment that I knew it was possible to have more than one soulmate in a lifetime. It was possible to have it to be one true loves. This was the story I was born to tell. This was a story I needed to tell. This is the movie I was meant to direct. Matters of the heart are complicated, but they affect every human on the planet. We all share those complications, those things, those loves, those lows, those highs. We fall down in love and we rise up in love. While the world is full of different cultures and languages, we are all united in matters of the heart. Through humor, drama, charm, tears, and heart, our film takes the audience on a picture postcard journey through New England, as well as we explore what it means to love truly. So, yeah, there you go, man. There you go, right? I mean, there's always a story behind these things, you know? And it's always fascinating to find out, right? What's the deal, you know? So yeah, that was it. But there's a plenty of other interesting factors about this, you know. Um, Now, one of which being we have the author and her husband adapting the script. Right? So this is what was said. The joy of having a writer who created the words originally and who was now creating a new story and coming up with things that they got excited about, maybe things even that weren't necessarily in the book, was great, says Fickman. It sometimes can be challenging when someone has written 300 beautiful pages of prose and then they need to turn it into a screenplay because every word naturally becomes precious. But Taylor was so not that way. She and Alex wanted to write it as a film, and so they just dove right in. In terms of what changed in bringing One True Loves from book to film, the biggest thing is its structure, says Taylor Jenkins Reid. The book is about 50-50 in terms of spending time in the past and time in the present. With the film, though, we wanted it to be firmly rooted in the present. So, one challenge was finding a way to show what has happened in the past in a compelling way without actually narratively spending as much time there. Says Alex J. Reid, I've been fortunate enough to have adapted several books, but usually I don't have the benefit of adapting a book with its author, who in this case is also my wife. So here the deck was stacked. If I had a question, Taylor had an answer. If a scene presented a particular challenge to me, Taylor knew how to execute it. Adds Taylor Jenkins Reid, to me, the most fun part of an adaptation is the idea of how do you tell the same story in a different medium and how do you make it a comparison to the book and not just a copy. Any book is a challenge to adapt, but because I'd written the novel in the first person and we were set on not using any voiceover in the movie, it was an extra challenge to make sure we showed the full scope of Emma's dilemma. She's lived a big life with a lot of events, and that changed her slowly over time. And we wanted to find a way to show that and all her and how much she had grown. So yeah, I thought that kind of would impact because I'm imagining few of you may have read the book, right? So we start off with the young selves. They're at a party, you've got Sam hanging out with Emma, and you get a sense, you know what I mean? that he likes her. And they're the kind of kids on the side. It seems they're not the cool ones. But then Jesse starts a conversation with Emma, and it all goes from there. All goes from there. Now, there was a thing, because then we get into this montage of them traveling, you know? And it's like he's taking photos, she's writing stories, which are getting, we're seeing the newspaper and magazines where these stories appear. Right now, we're having music played. I hated the songs used in this. Right, the score was okay. The songs, I hated the songs, and so we're having this song play. I feel what would have been nice would have been her maybe reading the articles or a little bit of the articles. You know what I mean? Because I think that can bring you into it a little bit. But we're seeing all of this stuff. We see the marriage, their proposal, just all of these things, right? And then we get the things change, right? Things change. She gets a phone, like he goes off on missing their first anniversary. She gets that phone call, devastated, devastated. So she's back home. She's back home, and she's with someone else, right? Well, I mean, some of that we don't see. Some of that comes later. It's just remembering all the, how they do it. But we jump years, and now she's with Sam, and yeah, we see her get the phone call as they're going off, and that's crushing her, right? And I think at the start, because all of this happened so early, you do think, okay, how are they feeling the rest of this film? You know what I mean? Well, like, what are we gonna see? Because yeah, there's just a lot, right? A lot of time left, and so yeah, you kind of wonder. But what we do get, it is very interesting. Like I think there is a I think there is a kind of thing with this film, right, where it could go that typical generic way, but there are these really nice moments. And a lot of them are between Maria and Emma, right? She's helping Emma deal with it. And also it's just these insights on love, right? And the fact, because I think the whole only one soulmate thing, right? That was something that was, boy, you'd hear it a lot back in the day. You know what I mean? But I don't think that shit is true. I feel there are many types of love, and you'll meet different people and you will love them in different ways. You're not going to love someone the same way as you love someone else, and sometimes you're going to meet someone that you love, but you met them at the wrong time. And we get those kind of insights in these little moments between the sisters, which I thought was really nice, you know? Now, what is interesting is I thought that we get more kind of emotional scope and understanding with the Sam character than we do with the Jesse character. I thought the scenes with Sam, now, there is that typical, Hollywood kind of storytelling thing where he is giving a lot of information to people where you're like, I don't think anyone would normally do that shit, right? The teacher isn't going to come into class and be like, kids, this is the thing, right? Even though we do see, because when that first starts happening, you are a bit like, yo, what the fuck? Now, we do see later in the film, in some flashbacks and stuff, how it does kind of make sense, but still, it's still inappropriate as fuck. You know what I mean? But in these moments, he's opening up and talking about emotions and how he's feeling and everything like that, which is very endearing. And and I think people can resonate more to that. Like the problem with the Jesse stuff is because he's been gone 4 years, which we don't like. It is a little unclear the time frame until it's actually mentioned by someone. But he's been gone 4 years. Homie doesn't look like he's been on a desert island. You know what I mean? Because your skin's gonna be fucked, right? Your skin's gonna be fucked. Because there's no sun cream. You're out on the fucking island. You're out in the wind. You know what I mean? Just the salt water. There's just all these things are fucking you up, right? So there's that. Also, it's not like you've got a fridge. So he doesn't look like he's been starving for 4 years. Like there's, I say what you will about Tom Hanks. When you see the real life pictures and then the desert island pictures from Castaway, Tom Hanks lost a lot of weight, right? For those roles. I mean, the person that lost the most weight is fucking Batman, right? When he did fucking The Machinist. Jeez, that was crazy. But that's the thing, right? I feel that Jesse, right? Luke's Bracey, he needed to look more gaunt, right? He needed to look more weathered for a lot of his stuff to really be impactful. You know what I mean? There was that. There was that. And you also get like it's been 4 years, right? Now, I think you can definitely have certain feelings and all of this, but I feel that there would also be a level of understanding too with that, you know? So there was that, but I think, as I said, look, it's the Sam Jesse stuff that is the real ah great moments of this film, right? There's definitely a bit where yeah, I ain't gonna lie, right? Eyes did start feeling a little damp. You know what I mean? Don't know what it was, man. I started feeling a little damp. And then after that scene, we get a next scene in the yard where I'm just like, oh shit. Shit. Didn't lose it though. Didn't lose it, people. Kept my cool. Kept my cool. But yeah, those things, those scenes had the emotion here for me. They had the emotion, right? So those were great. Um, I did like also when they were talking about books, there were varied authors used. So that was good because we don't always get that. One thing though, right? They were talking about books about love and death. The Hunger Games have both, motherfuckers. The Hunger Games have death and they have a stupid love triangle. So that book don't work in that equation. What? But I'm glad they only talked about the first book because the other two, yeah, they weren't good. The first one was fine. You know what I mean? As a young adult book, the first one was fine. The second and the third stunk. Second, third stunk. What can I say? You know? But yeah, look, I kind of feel with this that It's got some really nice moments. There are a few things that don't quite work. You know what I mean? There's this, there's kind of scenes which are a little generic. You know, like Sam walking into the teacher's lounge. You know what I mean? I did think that the Jesse parents moments, again, you'd feel that they come off as cunts. You know what I mean? It's as simple as that. And you do kind of think that, as I said, 4 fucking years, that it would have been nice to see some a range of emotions with them and Emma. You know what I mean? So there's that. There's that, right? It is when Emma and Sam reconnect again a little bit, but yeah, I think all in all, there's look, there's some stinky rom-coms, right? There's some rom-coms that oi, do not work. Holiday, which funnily enough, Bracey was in as well. That nah, that's not good. I mean, there was a whole bunch of fucking, in Christmas ones that we looked at last year that just did not work, right? But this one, I think this one is going to connect with a lot of people, right? I think that you can find something here. As I said, look, there's these really nice moments. Um, and I think the chemistry, right? The chemistry between Phillipa Soo and Simu Liu, along with Michaela Conlin, right? All of those actors and the moments they share in this film, that is what really does drive this. That's what really does bring this to life for us. So, if you like a rom-com, people, right? You like something with a little bit of heart, then I think One True Loves will hit you in the right place. Okay? So, there you go. It is out. Well, it's out tomorrow. So enjoy, people. Enjoy.